Okay, so Dune Part 2 had its first footage shown at Cinemacon earlier in the week. Denis Villuneuve's gone over what's going to be in the movie, shown some footage, and also discussed the overall tone and aesthetic that they're going for. Throughout this video, we're going to be going through what was said at the presentation, what was shown in the trailer, and also what we think will be happening in the movie. If you're desperate for Dune content, then we've actually done a full video breaking down Paul Atreides' entire story, which stretches through Dune all the way up to its sequel Messiah, and from there on to the Children of Dune. However, I will be keeping the heavy spoilers at a minimum for this video, and instead just talking about what moments the footage could be alluding to. If you enjoy the light spoilers, then please hit the thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe for breakdowns like this every day. Without the way, a huge thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into Dune Part 2. Now, Dune Part 2 will be releasing November this year, and Denis stated that the movie will pick up instantly after the events of the first film. That closed out with Paul being brought under the fold of the Fremen so that they could mount up an offensive on the Harkonnen house who'd killed his father and their friends. We ended with Paul seeing a Fremen soldier riding on top of a sandworm, and this will be something that the character himself learns to do early on. Now, according to people at the event, we see the character attracting one of the gigantic beasts through using a thumper. As it got closer, Paul readied a pair of boots, and though he almost got killed, he managed to get on top of it. At this point, he started his training, and we saw him taming the gigantic worm. Now, alongside him will of course also be Zendaya's Chani. In the first film, she appeared mainly through visions and dreams, with Paul finally meeting her come the end of the movie. The relationship between them will take center stage in this film, and apparently the trailer itself opened with the pair sitting together and talking. Paul was discussing his life back on Caladan, and the vast blankets of water that covered the planet. Chani had never heard of anything like this, and her mind was blown by him explaining swimming and also diving. Meanwhile, she hates sand because it gets everywhere, but this gives her the idea that there's something incredible about Paul. Now, I wasn't able to confirm whether this was the case, but I did hear from a couple of people that we get some narration from Florence Pugh. As we know, she will be playing Princess Irulan, which I always pronounce her name wrong. Doesn't matter, but just in case you don't know, she's basically the Emperor's daughter. In the 1984 movie, she provided some narration there too, and it looks like Denis giving a nod to that with her potentially explaining the story. We will likely have some big time jumps in order to cover everything, and she might act as a way to fill in all the story beats. Apparently Pugh gets a great line in the trailer, and she says, "In the shadows of Arrakis lie many secrets, but the darkest of them all may remain. The end of House Atreides." Now, I won't spoil her connection to Paul, but if you've read the book or seen the 84 film, then you'll know she ends up with a close tie to him. That's brought on by the Emperor, and we know that he'll be played by none other than Christopher Walken. Now, on the other side of this, we saw Josh Brolin's Gurney Halleck reuniting with Paul and Lady Jessica. Apparently, the footage at the event didn't have much of him, and it was basically put in place to confirm that he did indeed survive the initial attack by the house and make his way out into the desert. Gurney spent several years on Arrakis, and eventually he became the leader of a group of smugglers, which is when they clashed with the Fremen. Paul recognized him, and thus they joined forces rather than destroying each other. Now, with Lady Jessica, it also looks like they're bringing a big part of the book in as well. In the trailer, we apparently got Rebecca Ferguson writhing in agony, which seemingly confirms that she'll be going through the ritual that sees her become a Reverend Mother. This is so she can be elevated within the Bene Gesserit, and it's a nice way that I think they're going to take the movie. Now, Jessica apparently writhed around with her head moving back and forth until we got a shot of her eyes, which turned to a dark shade of blue. There's lots of things that happen with Jessica in the movie as well, and a big reveal about her connection to the Baron, which will likely be brought up in the film. There was no mention of it in the trailer, along with another reveal about her, so I'll save that in case you don't want to know, but they are going to be doing some interesting things with her in the movie. Now, the Baron will of course be returning, and along with him will be Fade, who was absent from the first film. If you've seen the 80s version, then this guy was played by Sting, whereas in the upcoming movie, it's going to be Austin Butler behind him. They are really hammering home how ruthless he is, and at the event, every shot of him was shown in high contrast black and white. From the way it was described, it kind of reminded me of the scene with Gore and Thor Love and Thunder, and rather than having a thick head of ginger hair, he's gonna be bald. This is of course done so he fits in with the rest of the Harkonnens, and he's apparently meant to bring across a very imposing figure. Now, I did try and find out whether the other Harkonnens featured in the trailer, but all I could find were things about Fade. He apparently had a big knife fight with Paul in the movie, and this is supposed to reflect the one at the end of the first film. Now, Denis said at the event that the tone of Part 2's all-out war, and that it'll have lots of action scenes rather than a slower pace. The director also confirmed that the entire movie shot in IMAX, so let's hope they actually add it to the physical media release, mate, because you cheaped out on that last 4K drop. You cheaped out!
You son of a bitch!
Now, unfortunately, we don't get to see that battle playing out, but the trailer did end with a teaser of where things were going. Apparently, the final shot of it had Paul standing on the edge of a giant cliff, and at this point he pulled his knife out. He then held it up to his head, and the camera panned down to show thousands of Fremen standing below him ready for battle. I think that this will end up being the final charge before it all goes down, and if you've read the book, you'll know that Paul learns a lot about the Fremen early on, including their vast numbers. The indigenous people of the planet have been held down by the Emperor for decades, and he of course also set up the Atreides so that they died due to them opposing him. Thus Paul's attempting to lead the forces of the planet against the Harkonnens so that he can take it back and then mount up against the Emperor. It doesn't fully all play out that way, but yeah, there are the things that we learned about the film at the event. This trailer has been described as jaw-dropping, and we know that Hans Zimmer will be returning to the film to compose its score once more. Now, Denis said he'd be interested in making a third film based around Dune Messiah, which is the book's direct follow-up. He also hinted at having plans for a television spin-off series, but it all depends on the success of this movie. Therefore, I'm guessing that this film might end on a cliffhanger with a somewhat conclusive ending, but still room for things to grow. The ending of Dune does seem like it's quite a happy one, but once you start getting into the other chapters, you get the idea that things aren't all they're cracked up to be. Dune is very much about the fallacy of following people and how those promised to be the next Messiah could end up being anything but. Very good subtext in it showing how power can corrupt people, and also how leaders are often engineered by outside forces so that they can lead people and thus give those that seek power a way to control the people en masse. I really hope those themes are explored in the film, as I think it would be such a cool way to take things as we go down the line. Now, I am very hyped for this film, as I'm sure you can guess. I think that Dune has the potential to be one of the biggest movies of the year. I can't wait to see how it builds off the back of that first film, and from the sounds of it, they're upping the ante in almost every way. Now, I hope you enjoyed the breakdown, and if you did, then make sure you let me know your thoughts on the film, along with what you want to see happening in it. If you read the books, or if you're a newbie, I'd love to know, so make sure you drop your thoughts in the comments section below. Now, we are running a competition right now and giving away the Quantumania Steelbook to 3 subscribers on the 15th of May, and all you have to do to be on the chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the movie. We will be picking the comments at random on the 15th, and the winners of the last one are on screen right now, so if that's you, then message me on Twitter at HeavySpoilers. If you want something else to watch, then we've got a breakdown of the Flash trailer on screen right now, and also one for Kraven the Hunter. That was shown at Cinemacon, and though it's not been released online, there are lots of things that we learned in it, so yeah, if you want to know, head over there. If not, then thanks for sitting through the video. I've been Paul, and I hope to see you next time. You take care, peace.